Salve a tutti ragazzi, ben trovati su Crystal Cross Gaming. Mi è sempre piaciuto l'idea di poter iniziare a intervistare qualche sviluppatore, eccetera, e dato che sono all'inizio, perché non cominciare con qualcosa di piccolo tipo Glenn Schofield? Quindi qui abbiamo ora Glenn Schofield, il creatore di Dead Space e di Callisto Protocol, ed è un grandissimo onore per me fare questo. It's a really a pleasure and an honor to have the opportunity to have this brief interview with you. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. So, obviously, many questions will be about that space and Callisto Protocol, but feel free to add something that you really meant to add to the conversation, obviously.
Sure.
It will be kind of free flow of information,
Sounds
if you
good
like.
to me.
Okay.
That's why I like
so,
it. Yeah.
that space is mentioned as one of the best examples of sci-fi horrors in modern times, and their influences seems to be classics like Alien, The Thing, Event Horizon, something like that. So looking back, what was the biggest influence? And maybe is there also something that is not quite mentioned that you think, yeah, that's also had a big role in this?
Right. I'll tell you one that surprised people that didn't have as much influence as they think, and that's The Thing.
Okay.
I think the only time that I used The Thing as it was one of the last enemies where I had his head fall off and crawl on the ground, which, classic John Carpenter. But yeah, I think that surprised people when they hear, oh, you didn't use it as much as we think. No, I didn't. The truth is, I use some influence, but I don't. I take so many little pieces that
Right.
it's just little. I'm such a fan of sci-fi and horror that I try to do as much as possible from my own. Trying to think of something that would be surprising, and I'll come up with something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. So, because Dead Space was a turning point for survival horrors after all, with this peculiar recipe, like immersive sound designs, dismembering bodies, no one saw that before.
Yeah.
That was really good. But since then, many things changed, and nowadays we have ray tracing, AI, like Dolby Atmos audio and something like that. There is a revival of horror games nowadays, somehow in different ways and genres, but are contemporary players kind of more difficult to scare or something like that? What are the key elements of horror games nowadays that can actually have a powerful effect of nowadays players, let's say that?
Well, I still hear from everyone one of the scariest games ever, but that's why I changed the Callisto Protocol. People call it, a spiritual successor to Dead Space, but that wasn't my plan.
I wasn't.
I never said that. I never said it in hundreds of interviews. I think I did 130. And no, I had no. That's why I wanted in your face. Your gun. You use it once in a while, but you are up close and personal.
Yeah.
And that to me is the horror of today. It's Rob Zombie. It's like some of these, Hostel things like that. They're like in your face, and that's what I want.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Up close and personal.
Yeah.
Right. So, and both Dead Space and Callisto Protocol use different forms of actual terror, actually, like mutations, scary monsters, but also the sense of isolation, the fear of the unknown, let's
Yes.
say that. And I'm kind of curious about something. Is that something that actually scares you? I mean, maybe something that you took from your personal fears, to your personal experience in life that you wanted to translate into games, not necessarily in a literal sense, but maybe in a symbolic sense, let's say.
Yeah, I think isolation and being alone is the scariest to me.
Oh, all right.
That's why I've tried to not have, other characters within it. Yes, in Callisto we had, his partner, but if I was to make Callisto over again, I wouldn't have that.
Okay.
I would have taken her out. That's to be honest with you. And had a little bit more isolated for him. That's why in Dead Space you see he's isolated most of the time.
Yeah.
And so is Jacob, but isolation's a big one for me. Isolation, and then when you're isolated, to have the tense music, the creepy lights, you throw it all in together, and that's scary to me.
Still a formula that works. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Probably evergreen.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you got Alien Isolation. So,
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. Like, and the Callisto Protocol is often considered as a spiritual successor.
Yeah,
Yes,
it is.
Yes, of Dead Space, but as indeed many evolutions in gameplay, combat, dodging, gore system, and it's quite advanced stuff in the game. Going back, what was your goal to really differentiate between those two titles and moving forward? Or going back, would you like to change something now the game shipped, now the players experience that? Would you go back and say, okay, maybe that was a little bit off? Or, yeah, I really wanted to do that and we scrap the idea at some point or so on.
yeah. Well, I told you about the one part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier up on stage that we ran into a lot of difficulties, as everybody did with at COVID.
All right.
COVID just knocked the wind out of us. Like Italy, the United States was hit very, very hard.
Yes.
And so I was losing 10 people, a month to sickness. And so
I know.
we had to cut 2 bosses.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then, yes, the final boss could have been a lot better. Could have been a lot better. And we made it better in the patches. I don't know if people know, but once the game shipped, right? Get this. The Crafton CEO, that we shipped on December 2nd. December 10th was the last time I talked to him until May. He didn't want to talk to me. So what I did, it was, I don't know what. During that time, I did 86 patches then. I'm like, sure,
Oh.
I'm going to spend your money and make the game better. And that's what we did. We were doing DLC, so it wasn't really spending the money. We just spread the team out. And so, yeah, I wish we made the final boss better. And there's one boss that we cut out. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with the game.
Okay.
People call me, write to me every single day and tell me how great it is. And I thank them. And so, yeah, look, every game there's always something you feel like you're left out, or there always is.
Always is.
Always
Yeah.
is. So, Dead Space, I felt really satisfied. There's one thing I left out, and I wanted to take, and we did a little bit. It wasn't that good though. Grab the limb of one of the necromorphs, which has the point.
Yeah.
Grab it, and then
Stop
put it through him.
Yeah. Put it through.
And we got it in Dead Space 2.
Okay.
But I wanted it in Dead Space 1. That was the
Okay.
last thing. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think Dead Space was okay without it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. And we mentioned that we are all at this amazing tech in gaming nowadays. Are you particularly interested in any of them? Something that you could use for a future project? Maybe, I don't know, virtual reality, augmented reality, something new that really inspires you and say, oh, that's something new I can use for one of my ideas. It really could work. It could be interesting.
Well, virtual reality. I've been wanting to make a virtual reality horror game since I played Resident Evil, and that was scary. That was really scary, and I thought, man, I could scare the crap out of people with VR. Yeah, I would like to make one, but I work for companies that say, no, you need to make hundreds of millions of dollars, Glenn. So you're not going to do VR. Someday, I think. Yeah.
Speaking of that, I was supposed to say that you have direct experience working with big publisher and trying to do something on your own. Obviously, maybe publishing that with a publisher at some point, but doing something that you feel like it's yours. And what are the challenges of working, let's say, under a big publisher, and the challenges are going to doing your own, basically?
So the challenges of working under a big publisher is that you're going to get a lot of influence in many different ways, right? But that's why I never wanted to be. I never said, "Oh, I'm going to go run my own studio." So that wasn't a goal. My goal was just to be really good at what I do. But what I realized was happening was, because I was kind of senior, no matter what, they would bring me into the meetings. I would come into these rooms sometimes with the execs or whoever, and look, I love exec. I love the marketing guys. I mean, I really do. Some of my best friends. But I would walk into the room, and I don't want to sound like an ass, but I would know that I'm probably one of the top creative guys in the room, and yet I got everybody else who's not telling me what to do. So, at some point I just said, look, I'm making the game. If you want to change that, then go ahead. But I'm making the game. I'm making the decisions. You can tell me your ideas. If they're good, I'll get them in. But don't tell me to do it.
Yeah.
Right? If it doesn't go with the game, I'm not going to do it. And it's gone over well so far. I mean, because put your money where your mouth is, right? And I'm
Right.
like, okay. I just said that to these guys. I better make it happen. And so, one thing I do for my games is prepare. Really, really prepare.
Oh,
In many ways. For my next game, I lost 75 pounds. I've lost 75 pounds. Because I'm ready, and I'm going to the gym because I'm ready to go, because these are marathons, making these games. But I know that had nothing to do with your question, but
no.
you said free
That's
flowing. So,
really
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's really interesting.
yeah, I try and prepare. I will study and read and research. The one thing when I go to schools or anything, I tell people, research, do these things. Research, because I am going to out-research you.
Right.
And I also tell them to be prepared, because once you get out of school, I'm your competition. I'm no longer your teacher or whatever. Yeah. So, you try and get really prepared for the game. You know what the game you're making, research, so that when you go in and you talk to your team, you can tell them everything. Tell them how you're feeling. Tell them how you're ready to go, right? All that stuff. And it's one of the big jobs of my position is, and any director or leader, is to get their team enthused, excited, and
Right.
passionate, right? And any game I choose, that I pick to make, I am just passionate, because I make video games for a living.
Yes.
How can I complain?
Yeah. If you
Right.
don't have that
Yeah. So
in this,
yeah. So I'm very passionate. Somebody said, "How can you get into a sports game?" Like I made Knockout Kings. Well, they knew I wouldn't like it, so they said, "You could make the backgrounds whatever you want. You could have them fight anywhere you want." So I did that. So they've given me things to make me really passionate about the project. But that was the only one I needed something. And when I got in, I loved making it. But other than that, like I said to you, I'm so thankful that I make video games for a living, that I can draw, that I can be creative, that, yeah, why wouldn't you get passionate about it?
Yes. And I'm passionate listening to those
Yeah.
things
Oh, good,
for a
good,
living.
good, good. Yeah,
That's-
yeah, I
that's
bet you
really
are.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So this is off the script, but I really wanted to talk about, because I kept listening to directors and so on, the amount of people that tell you, I mean, as the public or other person, other developers, that you have to have a clear idea, focus on your mind and your team, to working together with your team, because if you lose focus,
Yep.
for whatever reason, maybe an executive is not really happy with the direction of something. Maybe you consider too many ideas all at once, and now you're not really you're not really sure where you're going with maybe the combat system or so on. And if you lose focus, is probably the worst thing, because now you're moving like. Like you have no point in reaching. So have a clear vision of something is really important working with the team.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I never lose focus. Not on a project. I mean, yeah, a little here and there. But no, I'm the opposite. In life, I attack everything.
Oh, right.
And maybe it's from growing up in New Jersey and New York, where it's very, very aggressive.
Competitive. No.
It's also just like, if I feel like I have the right idea, I'm going to keep pushing it on them and stuff like that, because not everybody sees the idea,
Yeah.
right? I mean, my team was almost abandoning me on there was a drag tentacle. I don't know if you ever we did a
Yeah.
drag tentacle, right? And they were like, it's not going to work. And I'm like, I can picture it. It's going to work. We just didn't approach it correctly.
All right.
That was my problem. And that was a big lesson. Like, oh no, we got to do this, and this. So, I don't think I lose focus on a project. No, I'm the same way. When I'm about to sit down to a drawing, I attack it.
All right.
I'm not afraid of the canvas. I'm not afraid of a blank thing. I love a blank book. I like a blank anything I can fill.
So, and probably having ideas that you think that are worth fighting for, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I have no shortage of ideas. I don't know why, but they come, so there's sometimes I'm thinking about a game I'm working on, and then all of a sudden 6 ideas. Boom, 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 right? And, you write it all down, and then you're like, okay, I want another 6. And I'm like, it's not, But I now tell, when I go and talk, my favorite thing to talk about is generating ideas. Is how to generate it. So I like to tell, I have a 10 steps. It used to be 9 for a long time until AI came. Now I'm gonna show people hopefully soon how to use AI for brainstorming and all that. Yeah.
Many people use AI for that specifically nowadays.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have ways. Yeah, I'm sure everybody's coming up with them, and I love to read about them. I love to hear
I'm
about
not saying that everyone is good on doing that, because many times you can reach a point in where are my ideas anymore, right? So you have to preserve your vision after all.
Oh no, I don't look for those kind of ideas.
Okay.
No, I'll be like. No, I leave the heavy lifting to myself.
Okay.
But there are little things like, oh man, what's the is the enemy lefty or righty? It's just bad.
All right.
And I'll put in. I ask questions that only I would ask.
All right.
And I ask myself questions all the time. Like I mentioned for Dead Space, when they talked about the meteor being dropped down, I asked myself, what if the meteor was a marker? What if, so it's asking those questions all the time, like, Oh, so I'll ask chat the question. I will put in a story I've written, and I have these certain questions, and I will ask questions like, "What's the motivation? What's this?" Sometimes it's like, "Oh, well, we got this motivation," and I'm like, that validates what I said."
They seems like tiny difference, but they build depth to the
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, and the truth is that I haven't used it in a game yet.
Okay.
You know, it's only been out for. I've been using Midjourney for maybe 2 years now, and that's still not perfect. I still gets me seven fingers on a hand. So I know it's still got its limitations, and we still have to make games without it right now, or maybe a little bit, but we'll see.
Okay. So, by the way, you're liking the festival? I mean, the people.
Fantastic. No, look, in the position I've been in over the years,
You've seen a
I
lot.
didn't know, huh?
You've seen a lot of festivals.
I haven't seen the little ones, too many of the little ones.
Oh.
Because I couldn't go if I'm making a game. I have to go to E3, Gamescom, or a couple of. Most of the time, I'm like, no, I got a game to make. So that's always my focus. The little ones, I've been to 2 or 3 over the years, not too many. And but when I went to Prague a few months ago, and I saw the passion of people that are just struggling to make ends meet, but they'll come home at night and make a game, that inspired me. Right? So I was there to inspire them. I don't know if I did or not, but they inspired me. And so that's why when I got a call to come here, I said, absolutely. I want to talk to the developers. I want to see if there's any way in the future I can be helpful to developers. I don't know if I can or not. At least I can offer suggestions or thoughts or things when I see the game. But I wish I could do more. I wish I could get some of the West to come, more of the Western or the bigger media or games or people like me to come and to speak, right? Because I see how much it means to people.
Yes.
You know? And the other thing is, I didn't know that Tajikistan, Azerbaijan, all these countries played video games like this.
India.
Exactly.
A lot.
I am meeting all of these. Iceland, I met people.
Yes.
Israel coming up to me. So, somebody said to me, Glenn, you realize you have been actually at the very top. And now that I've come out of like just constant working for 30 years, it's opened my eyes up to maybe other ways I can help the industry.
That's so nice to hear. That really is.
Only if I can do something.
All right. So, last question. Thank you so much for your time. Are there any games nowadays, in the last years maybe, outside of the horror genre?
Yeah, sure.
That you really played or watched that really triggered something in you, like, oh my God, I really like this. Something that triggers something in you, like you inspires something or so on?
There's so many games out there right now. Vampire Diaries, that when I looked at it, I'm like, But then when I played it, I'm like, that's cool. Let's see. I'll tell you one I played a few years ago, and that was Control. Control. And what I liked about Control is that if I wanted to, I could get into high areas and take out a couple of the enemies before I went down there. And some games will do that. I like that a lot. I try to put that some in my games. And when I saw that there, I'm like, I got to remember that because it makes me feel smart. I take out a couple guys strategically. Now I can have an easier way to get around things. This is a very simple one. There have been so many good games out there right now that I'm just sort of blanking. But I think that there's such a creative swell out there right now. Everybody's making these smaller games that are just like really creative and full of ideas and energy and everything. I think it's great for the industry.
Yes.
I think what the industry's going through right now is pretty tough, though. And at least in the West, we're feeling a lot of money gone, right? And there's a lot of ideas out there that are not going to get made because of it, and that's a bummer.
Yes,
That's
it
a
is.
bummer, you know?
It is. But we hope that something can be done to address this, because I think that good ideas, after all, I guess worth fighting for. Let's say that.
Yeah.
We'll find a way. let's
Good
say that.
ideas are the lifeblood of our industry,
Yes.
right? Great art, all that, sure. Where are we without an idea? So we need those ideas. And I would say, sorry, Hollywood, in the last 20 years, the game industry's been more creative. Because in those 20 years, we went from making Hollywood licenses to Hollywood's making video game licenses.
Yes. That surprised me a lot, actually.
Touchdown. We won. Yeah, no, we didn't win. We work good together, both industries, I think. So,
Yes. So, thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you so
I'm sorry
much
if I
for the
talked too much.
opportunity. Thank you.
good to meet you, man. Thank you.